Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tackling the floor pans in the Firebird. We're going to sand it down and see how bad they really are and any repairs that we may need to make to them. Alright, so I pulled the seatbelt buckles out and disconnected the bottom of the rear seatbelt and the receptacle, whatever you call it, for the front seat there. It looks like some glue on the floor. So we're going to get sanding here. I hate sanding, especially by hand, so we're starting out with my electric sander. That's a pretty aggressive pad. I'm going to say a 60 grit if I had to guess, but it's what's on there, so we're going to use it. I have more pads, but waste not, want not, so we're going to start off here and go hard and get some of this junk cleaned up. So this is under the bottom part of the back seat. I went and pulled the, I guess, the rubber drain plug out, and we're gonna start sanding here. It's a good idea to wear a respirator when you're sanding inside a vehicle. We put a fresh pad on, another 60 grit, and we're gonna tackle this ugly passenger floor. So obviously this is not a professional job, but even if you're doing this in your garage like me and you're just a hack, just like I am, so there's a little bit of rust here. I cleaned it off, and you can see as you keep peeling paint off the rust. So I always, obviously, you know, you're not in like super control of the sander in the sense of, you know, you only hit the rust spot, but I always take it back a little more to get some clean metal and then go ahead and clean that up. All right, so I'm not done, but I'm kind of done with my first pass on this side. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's not obviously show car work. It's kind of ugly. I still have some to get off, but there's no hole. Well, I lie. There was one little hole. That little tiny hole right there is the only hole in the whole pan, so I'm happy with that. I mean, right here you can kind of see some rust. That's sort of like divots, pock marks. I don't know what you'd call it. Somebody in the comments tell me what I should be calling that. Obviously, you want to vacuum up all your junk, your chips, paint, all that, and then see what you're working with. But we're going to do this other side first, and that other side is a little more gnarly than what we just did. So I started sanding in the back here. I'm just kind of flailing chunks around with the sander. So I moved up here and I actually wire brushed it loose first. Just took a wire brush, ran it over there. I'm going to vacuum this out so I'm not throwing everything around with the sander. Again, I'm just kind of learning as I go. So if it's heavier like that, or it's going to be flinging a lot of stuff off, I'd recommend starting with the wire brush and then sanding afterwards. So now that we're done sanding, one thing we want to do, we want to wipe the surface clean with mineral spirits. I already shot back up the car. Then I'm going to wipe it down. We're going to start with this stuff. It's Rust Reformer. It apparently instantly converts rust to a protected paintable surface. Apparently I used it or the lid wasn't on, but we're going to try that for some of those like little divots I couldn't get the rust out of. So we're going to put that in, and we'll go over with some primer. Then we're going to put top coat of white paint on it, and it should look not as good as new, but better than it did. So after you put that Rust Reformer on, it's going to turn black, like a black paintable surface. This looks green to me, like a dirty penny, like a copper turn. So I don't know if it's working. So we're going to let that stuff dry. It's supposed to be dry in 15 minutes. Curious what happens with it, but got to let it sit for 3 days until you can paint it. So it's Sunday. We're going to come out here Wednesday and hit the primer on, and maybe the next day we'll throw the white coat on and see what those floors look like. I didn't want to bore you guys watching me paint, but this is step 2 after I put the Rust Reformer on. See, I sanded it all down, especially that side. A lot of sanding on that side, so where there's primers, where there's some rust, but pretty happy with it. So we're just letting this dry. Then we're here with white for the top coat. So I just finished putting the top coat on of the white. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it look 100% better? Yep. Is the rust gone? Yep. At least most of it. I think that's just a stain dripping from that clip that was there. But again, it's not perfect, but we weren't going for perfection. If I can be serious here just for 1 second, I was an idiot when I started. I was literally coughing, telling you to wear a respirator because I started without a respirator. So if you're working on a car, you just one thing right. The one thing to do is be safe, whether it's wearing gear or using jack stands, whatever. You know, you can always call a buddy to come over, help you finish the project. Worst case, you get it towed somewhere, but you can't get your health back. Here's the respirator I was wearing. Brand new when I started. They're brown, very brown. So that's a bunch of junk that would have went in my lungs if I didn't have them on. So be safe, guys. All right, so that's going to wrap up the floor pan video for the Firebird. Again, it's not perfect, but it looks 90% better than it is. The rust is gone. We're not going for perfection here. We're just trying to build a cool street car. So now that that's done, we can get to pulling the drivetrain out and putting the LS in and start test fitting some stuff. I did pick up a Turbo 350 today. It's got, I can't even think. It's been a long day. Clutches in it and frictions, upgraded frictions, that kind of stuff. Shift kit, it does come with 3000 TCI stall converter. So fortunately it's not a manual valve body, really a manual valve body, but it was $400. So we're up to $13.95 into the car. We have a trans for it. Lately I've been having these stupid ideas of swapping the cam out, putting a sloppy stage 2 in it just because they're so cheap and it's a proven power package. They know the don't BS me build, so it's not like, you know, I'm not breaking any new ground here. I'm just trying to go as cheap as possible. So we'll see if I can find one cheap. We might throw a sloppy cam in it and some pack springs. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We're moving on, getting real close here to 500 subscribers. So thanks for everybody that's done that so far. And maybe I'll see you at the junkyard scrounging some parts for this thing. Later.